Is there anything that you want to get off your chest that you want to talk about, whatever the case may be?
B-roll material.
Any deep dark secrets that you want to tell us about Mark that no one knows about?
Yeah, that's always a good one. These are my cats. These are my buddy's cats. Everyone thinks they're my cat. I mean, they're great. This is Chloe and Chino, and she'll probably end up on the desk at some point. It's as soon as I'm in a one-on-one, she knows, and she hops up on the desk, and her tail will kind of go across the screen. Yeah, she's a riot.
All right. All right, let's do this. Welcome back to Hello Henderson by Desperate Radio. I'm Haas, and with me today is someone that I'm very excited to introduce to you all, Mr. Mark Phelan. Did I say that right? I'm probably going to say that a couple.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. All right. And he is the CEO and founder of, it's spelled PROJXON. PROJXON.
PROJXON.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Please tell us who you are. Tell us about your company. Tell us the story behind the name, and let's talk about Henderson.
Definitely, yeah. Thanks, Haas. Thanks for having me on. This is such a cool concept. I love the idea of the radio show that you have lined up, and I love that it's Henderson specific. That is awesome. That is so awesome. So it's just so cool to have met you at Tech Alley. Well, actually, at the pitch, right? The AWS AI pitch, like that was awesome. And then to see you again at Tech Alley Henderson was fantastic. So thanks for having me on here.
Of course.
So I'm Mark Phelan. I go by Phelan. I'm the CEO and founder of PROJXON, PROJXON. We are a veteran tech startup, and we do business optimization consulting for veteran not-for-profits and veteran small businesses. We look at how their company is organized, how their team works. We optimize that. We look at their tech stack. We help them establish whatever their goals are for exiting the company or franchising, whatever essentially their growth goals are for their business. And then we start developing the operational systems to support that. So I've been running PROJXON for almost 2 years. We'll be 2 years old next March. So we've had some phenomenal traction over the last year and a half. But it's been like your show says, it's been a dead sprint the entire way. You know, being an entrepreneur is supposed to be a marathon, but I mean, we have some pretty aggressive sprints that we run in PROJXON. So it's been exhausting, but it's been incredibly rewarding and fruitful, especially recently. So this is one of those examples of that. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It makes me so happy to hear success stories such as yours. And yours is especially interesting because it's so much aligned with what I do, but we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But let's talk about, how did you end up in Henderson? I know already who you are. We've talked a few times, right? So how did you end up in Henderson, and why do you love Henderson so much?
Oh yeah. So it was an accident. I had a happy accident for sure. So I was living on a sailboat in Marina del Rey in LA. I was working as a project manager for a logistics organization down there, and there was an opportunity to run a project out of Vegas. And I actually saw it as an opportunity for me to move to Vegas temporarily, stack cash, and get ready to buy a property, then go back to LA and purchase a property. So did that, and it was a 6-month contract. So I just thought, okay, I'm not going to make friends here. I'm not going to go out. I'm just going to focus on prepping for moving back to LA. I'll focus on my businesses and whatnot, as well as doing a good job. So I did such a good job that they extended my contract another 6 months. And I thought, well, it doesn't really make sense for me to keep kind of schlepping it around Vegas. I should probably maybe look at buying some property while I'm here. Maybe I'll have 2 properties. You know, we'll see what we can swing. And so after living in Vegas for 6 months without really realizing that it's an incredible place to invest, that's when I finally started looking at properties and was blown away by the quality of the property out here, the homes, the neighborhoods, all of that. And so I went full bore into looking for a house out here, and I project managed it, which my poor real estate agent had to deal with that. And so I had a whole spreadsheet with all these properties to look at and all the different parameters and whatnot for it. And luckily it was her. It was Melinda Zolowitz that said, "Hey, I have a house. It's not on your spreadsheet. But I think it's going to fit." And I don't know how she found it, but it was sort of this just perfect scenario. And it was the first house we looked at. Then we spent all weekend looking at other properties. And then we went back and we're like, wow, that's actually the best fit out of all of them. And it turns out it was a property in Henderson. Serendipitously, the contract fell through that I had. And I ended up now in Vegas with a property and no job. And so that allowed me to shift from logistics into e-commerce project management consulting. And then my whole career and life in Vegas kicked off. That was 5 years ago. It was pre-COVID, 2019.
What do startups or entrepreneurs struggle with in Henderson? What do you think?
So to start with what they struggle with, I would say number one is that they almost live in the shadow of Las Vegas. Right, so there's pros and cons. Absolutely. Like the pros of why I love living in Henderson is because it's Vegas adjacent, right? We have the airport, the strip, people come into town, there's shows and restaurants and all sorts of stuff. But it's close enough that you can access it, but it's still close enough that there's a little bit of competition there, right? So when you're looking at a product or service of business based out of Henderson, you're comparing yourselves already to what's happening in Vegas. And like, why would I create this? It already exists down the street and it's already accessible to the local economy. And so I would say the number one thing that they probably struggle with is the fact that Henderson more or less lives in the shadow of Las Vegas, or at least there can be that perception. And so because of that, there might be some apprehension with like ingenuity or coming up with something new or trying to build like a good, strong, healthy business because you feel like you're in competition with the strip. But what I found over the last couple of years is it's actually quite the opposite.
I think it's helpful for businesses, entrepreneurs, startups in Vegas or in Henderson is that there is a sense of community here. And you hear me saying this in almost every episode, community, not just the community where you live, the community where you raise your kids, where you make your friends, but also the business community here really wants to see each other thrive. I felt that since day one. Yeah, there might be a little bit of a competition. There might be a little bit of undercutting here and there, but it's very small in comparison to the amount of people that want to see you succeed. Case in point, our businesses would you say it's adjacent? Our core business or our core mission is somewhat adjacent, not necessarily in competition, but it's adjacent.
Yeah, there's definitely some overlap to it for sure.
Right, exactly. And I think there's opportunities here that we can both learn from, and I feel like I'm succeeding. And knowing you for a short period of time and just seeing what you post on LinkedIn, I feel like you kind of have that same mentality.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the ecosystem approach, right? And so that's one of the ways that we help those veteran not-for-profits and small businesses is oftentimes when you're in the military or when you're a veteran, you had this habit or this skill that you've been taught, which is to basically bootstrap everything. Like you should be able to be self-sufficient. And it's fantastic, but it leads to veterans being self-sufficient to a fault, right? You're just trying to like tough your way through everything, instead of looking at all of the resources that are acceptable or that are available to you. And I think that oftentimes it'll occur in business as well, right? I'm going to launch a product, I'm going to launch a business, but if I do it with someone else's help, then it's really not valid. Or if I do it with somebody else's advice, then like, can I really take credit for doing this thing on my own? But the more that I'm involved with the Henderson business community, I feel like there is that camaraderie in the sense of like, congratulations, you started a business. Like you're already, on your way to being successful. And absolutely, we want each other's businesses to be successful because it's just great for the overall collective economy and the business ecosystem, right? I mean, everyone needs print services, they need digital services, they need optimization services. And so it's healthy. And I feel like what we do, there's a lot of alignment. If we had met maybe outside of Henderson, just off the street, it might have seemed like, oh, this guy kind of does what we do. It might be a little more competitive, but because of the environment that we met and just the synergy that was created in our conversation and the backgrounds that we both have, it's like, oh, I think I can help this guy. I think that, this guy could help us. So like, this is great. We have like a mutual goal as well that we're going after.
Absolutely. And tell me, how does PROJXON help with that, everything that you just said about helping the community, helping the local startups, helping the local entrepreneurs?
That's great. I'm glad that you touched on this thing. So our slogan is turning chaos into opportunity, right? oftentimes when you're building a business, you're really just throwing things at the wall. You're trying to see what sticks. And so in the turmoil or in the turbulence that is created when you're kicking a business off, when you're trying to get things up and running, oftentimes there's things that work and there's things that don't work. And so as the business grows, there's a lot of legacy items that will hold the business down, whether it might be people or systems, processes, tools, methodologies, mindsets, culture, branding, tech, websites. There's a lot of legacy things that may not fall off. Also because when you're starting a business, there's not enough time to go back and go, oh, we rebranded, let's go fix the website right now. It's like, that's not really a priority. We need to keep moving in this direction. We'll fix the website later. And so then those things begin to compound. Those things that are kind of holding the business back begin to compound. And one thing that startups and small business owners have a limit with is their just bandwidth and ability to develop their business from a holistic approach. And so I love that you hit on, right, the community, the ecosystem, the partnerships, et cetera. And so that's one approach that we take as an external consultant at PROJXON, is looking at the business, not only as is or where it came from and how it got to where it's at, but again, what is the ultimate goal of the business? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to franchise, scale, sell, et cetera? What are the things that you're going to have to do in the near term or long term future to prepare your organization for that? And then we can consult the business owner and the team and say, okay, based off of what your collective goals are for your business model and your roadmap for your business, this is how we'd recommend you approach partnerships, community development, customer relations. And so it starts to round out the business from being just a startup, just a small business with a value proposition and a service and a product, to being and implementing that business as an integral part of the community or ecosystem that it's a part of.
One of our friends, it's a mutual friend of ours, who I interviewed for the very first episode of Hello Henderson, is Brandon Ward of the We Mentality.
Cool.
And he speaks directly to helping local entrepreneurs and businesses, but almost as a preset before even getting to you, he pitches the idea of, you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to be scared of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
In the We Mentality, we help you get there. We help you get on your feet. And this is what I love about this whole community of Henderson, is that you have somebody like the We Mentality, where they help you stand up on your own 2 feet. Then you have someone like PROJXON, who helps you, hey, now that you're on your feet, let's show you how to really run this correctly.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's one of my favorite things. Before I jump into the next set of questions, I do want to mention one thing. I don't think you mentioned this, but I'm going to mention it for you. I'm going to put you on the spot.
All right.
You're a vet, correct?
I am. Yeah, I skipped over that part.
Can you tell us about that?
Sure. Yeah. So I joined the military right out of high school. So I spent 18 years in the Army, a combination of the reserves, the National Guard, some chores on active duty. I was an engineering officer, an infantry officer, a logistics officer, and an operations officer. My highlight was being a company commander. Actually, that's technically what I was brought to Vegas for, was that contract. We had some training that we were doing that I came out here for a 6-month tour. And then there was an opportunity for me to stay to stand up an organization in the Army. It's to stand up a company. So we built that thing from zero to full scale, built it from the ground up. And so what I like to tell people is that I've had a startup before. It just wasn't profitable. It wasn't a for-profit organization. It was inside of the government. It was inside of the federal government and the military. And so with creating that unit in the Army Reserves, it's actually incredibly parallel to what it looks like to start a business. You have to look at, what is the mission of that unit? What are we trying to achieve? Who are we trying? It was a logistics organization. So literally they use the terminology of, who is our customer? Like, what is our throughput? How are we going to try to serve our customer better? And with that, building up a culture in the organization, the communication platforms, the opportunities to bring the team together for camaraderie, training, and knowing that as we build and grow this unit, the unit was not designed and implemented on accident, but it's going to be implemented overseas on some sort of overseas, combat mission or combat tour at some point. And that was about 5 years ago. And I just got notified recently that the unit that I started is on track to deploy overseas in the near future. So, that's the equivalent of like going to the Super Bowl in the military. It's like, this is what you've trained not all year, or not all season, but this is what you've trained for the last several years in order to do, is to operate at that scale. So yeah, it's a little bit about my background in the military.
So, thank you for sharing that with us. And thank you for your service, by the way. I just want to make sure that I wanted to let everyone know that you are a vet. And that's why you have such a passion for working with vets and service members.
Yeah, and an understanding of the training, the background, the environment that they're a part of, the institution that they learn to operate in. And so in PROJXON, we've designed the Momentum Operating System, which is you could call it a military-based methodology for running, growing, and scaling an organization. It includes a lot of things that most startup systems don't. When you look at like managing your personnel, individual training, collective training. So it really allows you to look at, again, the holistic approach to an organization, not just, are we good with legal, finance, product development, and branding? Okay, that's enough. Let's get this thing out the door. It's like, well, hold on. Very soon, you're going to have, onboarding, administration, training. You're going to have to deal with all of these things that occur whenever you start scaling an organization or a startup really rapidly. And so luckily, being in the military, having that experience, going from unit to unit to unit, organization to organization, and basically, our job in the military is training constantly for, whatever it is that we're doing, and seeing how that works, continuity, SOPs, et cetera. And it's all around ensuring that you can maintain the fighting force, which is essentially the operational proficiency of a unit. And so we've been able to translate a lot of that for that entrepreneur startup model. And we're currently in the process of, creating some actual like training and documentation. And of course, so that, we can assist businesses in implementing it through our consulting.
So for those of you who are not aware, we just literally did a crossover episode from Hello Henderson to HBS with Desperate Radio. All right, welcome back to Hello Henderson after this little preview. Okay, Phelan, tell us a little bit more about your favorite spots to go to in Henderson.
Favorite spot, Public Works Coffee.
Tell us about Public Works Coffee.
Yeah, so Water Street. It's at the top of Water Street, right after the hockey complex. Yep. And there's always good parking. It's a nice area. All the buildings are brand new. Public Works is brand new. So Public Works Coffee, it's in this complex, and I haven't been to any other businesses around it, but when you walk into Public Works, there's actually a door to a stairwell that goes upstairs to an office. And so it's this like really cool kind of offset, angular office buildings, this mixed use office space on the north end, or technically it's up at the top of the hill, but it's on the south end of Henderson, on the south end of Water Street. It's got a cool view when you park there. It's super cool vibe. It's I think they have their wine and beer license. So it's almost like a wine bar, coffee shop. They do a lot of events there. A small little, like I went there one time and it was bring your favorite vinyl record with you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, really hip spot. Yeah, Public Works Coffee. It's super cool. That's my go-to. Typically on like a Saturday, Sunday, if I'm done with an event and I don't feel like going back home, I'll bring my laptop there, grab a coffee, hang out, and just, kind of relax and get some work done there.
No, I'm kidding. I will tell you, one of my favorite spots, and I keep shouting out to them whenever I can, is Chinita's on Water Street. They're really good food. Really good food.
What kind of food is it?
Yeah. So it's I believe it's Mexican Asian fusion, where they have like they'll have sushi, but they also have some birria tacos. They have some birria fries. It is a wonderful place to eat. The food is delicious. My wife and I love it. We go there whenever we can. Yeah. And I like to say it's my spot. I've only been there a few times, but I do like everybody from there. There are a bunch of nice people that work there. So it's a good place. You should definitely check it out. Yeah. Tell me how long you've lived here?
Based out of Vegas for 5 years. Yeah.
Okay.
I did a year tour in Italy and Europe. And then my last year in the Army, I did in El Paso, Texas, and then moved to LA to launch PROJXON. And so I've been back in Vegas for about a year. So I out of the 5 years since I've been in Vegas, I've been gone for about 2.5 of that.
Okay. So how is Henderson different 5 years ago versus today?
It's like, it doesn't sound like that much time. Behind my house, they're building that Four Seasons luxury twin tower. That's unfathomable that they're building that right here in Henderson. It's going to be the most expensive private estate in all of Vegas. It's a penthouse that's currently on the market, I think, for $37 million. Like, what are we talking about? That is insane. The buildings and the houses that are going up on Black Mountain, some of the businesses that have come into town. I remember when I moved to Vegas in 2019, St. Rose it was a back road almost. There wasn't a lot, built off of St. Rose. There wasn't a lot around the M. I remember my buddy had gotten this brand new apartment, and there was like nothing. It was just dirt lots all around this apartment complex. And so even the first couple of years of living in Henderson, I mean, there's a lot of development, mainly around the St. Rose area that I recall. But moving back from Italy and being gone for 2 years or so, and the stadium is finished, the Sphere is finished. Resorts World wasn't here when I moved here. Like there are so many things that is based out of Vegas, which Henderson has access to, and also it affects our view, right? I mean, we get to like see all these things from the Strip. So the skyline has developed more. I mean, I can see the Sphere from my house, and when that Resorts World banner goes off, it just is like this flashing, blinding light that you can see all the way in Henderson. And when my friends come into town, I tell them, like, I can see that thing from my house. Like the colors of my loft literally change when that neon or that LED sign changes. But Henderson in general, I mean, when I moved here, I wasn't really my buddy. He's from Henderson essentially, and he loves Water Street. That is his go-to, and I didn't really understand why, because when I moved here, they were redoing all of that. And so when I got my house, I never went down to Water Street because of all the traffic and the construction and all of that. And so it's cool to have come back, and now everything is done. The sports complex there is so cool. They do a lot of events there, and I genuinely love Henderson. I completely lucked out in the sense that when I moved to Vegas, I bought a house because I was looking for a house. And it was this pinpoint list of everything I was looking for. I want to be close to the interstate, but far enough away to where I don't hear it. I want to live at the edge of the neighborhood. I want a view. I want this. I want that. And I was able to. My agent magically got me all of these things. Shout out to Melinda Zolowitz. And after I moved to Henderson and I started meeting people in Vegas and whatnot, and they go, "Where do you live?" I go, "Oh, I bought a house in this area called Henderson." And they're like, "Oh, you live in Henderson? That's really nice." I was like, "Oh, is it? Did I move to the nice part of town? Like, I don't know. I haven't explored at all. I just moved here." And the more I get out, the more I'm like, wow, this is such a great part of town to be in. And one of the things about Henderson is like, there's really no reason to leave. I mean, Green Valley Ranch, the movie theaters, the events, the farmers market, at the district. I mean, there's so much cool stuff just here in Henderson alone. Tech Alley, Henderson. We have like a really...
Shout out to Joshua Levitt, by the way, who's going to be on the show pretty soon. Definitely. We're going to make sure that Joshua and Lorraine show up on this show.
Yeah, definitely. That is going to be a riot. I mean, there's so many things that Henderson has, and to see that they have, a strong chamber of commerce and that it's growing, and that the businesses are unifying, and there's a lot of construction happening, and that Henderson is expanding, right? The development of Cadence, the development of all these other developments is just really, honestly, it's bizarre. When I moved here, I was like, oh, this is a really cool place. I never would have imagined that it would have it feels like it almost has just like exploded in a way.
Well, okay. With that said, where do you see Henderson in the next 5 years? 5 years from now, where do you think Henderson is going to go?
God, with this kind of growth, I mean, it's F1 right now, which is wild. They're building and I'm talking about Vegas because all of that's going to trickle over here. So I mean, this is going to be cool to look back, pause in 5 years, right? So it's F1 right now. They're looking at solidifying, I think, a 5 or 10 year deal for more permanent structuring there. So it's going to be massive for the economy. They just built the Sphere. They're bringing the A's, right? They broke ground in the A's stadium. The Hard Rock Resort has just on the Strip has just started being built. I got a buddy who's the IT project manager of that, so that'll be really cool, and that's done. They're looking at building that executive airport down by Prim. I mean, so I'm gonna, and then of course now with the Four Seasons luxury twin towers that they're building up on the side of the hill, and all of the Black Mountain, McDonald kind of Parkway, that up there, all of those properties that are being built. I think that what'll happen is because of the economic development that is going into Las Vegas, and then of course everything that they're doing in Henderson, from businesses and whatnot. If you look at the types of homes that are being built, there's going to be this cascade of business that follows that, right? Mm-hmm. The events in the event space in Las Vegas is then going to lead to people wanting to buy these luxury properties up on the side of the mountain, living sort of within arm's reach. All the things that we benefit from being in Henderson, right? 20 minutes to Fremont, 20 minutes to the airport, 20 minutes to anywhere in the Strip. I mean, it's so incredibly accessible. There's going to be so many other people that want that same accessibility. Hopefully the public transportation capabilities go up. I see they're making all these developments to the 215 right now. They're widening the 215. Thank God. That is like I would say that's like the one downside is that from Gibson all the way to the airport, that main 215 strip. But the areas where they did make it wider, man, it's cruising, it's smooth sailing. So they're going to lighten that up a little bit, which is going to be great. And so, I mean, in 5 years, once a lot of that construction is done, the Four Seasons is done, I think that we're going to feel this level of maturity in economic and real estate development to Henderson, which, within the 5 years after that is where we're going to see a lot of really cool businesses that are going to get started. We're going to have more events that are here. We're going to have more Henderson-based things. And I think that there's going to be more people and thus, economic resources and attention on Henderson as opposed to it being overshadowed by Las Vegas.
Man, I love everything that you just said. I'm very excited and looking forward to it. What is one piece of advice for anybody that is moving here or had just moved here? How would you tell them? What would you tell them?
I mean, the battle really is between Henderson and Summerlin. Honestly. I would say, like when you come visit and you're thinking about moving, don't get off the Strip and really, check out Henderson, check out Summerlin. And if you're in Henderson, try to meet as many people as you can, and really get to know the locals and get to know the lay of the land of Henderson. I mean, it's such a cool, quiet, accessible area. It's got a strong economy. I mean, I had a great time during COVID. It was like quiet. Everything would kind of quieted down. And so if you're looking at moving in Henderson, number one, I would say buy if you can. If you can. If you can.
And now is probably the time to do it.
Now is the time to do it. 100% buy if you can. Primarily in Henderson. I think that might be the one caveat. Does Summerlin have all the amenities that Summerlin has? Yes. But is Summerlin building and growing the way that Henderson is? I do not think so. Oh. And so I think that my advice would be to spend as much time out here as possible and get to know the area and buy if possible.
Great advice. And I'm going to add to that is that go to Tech Alley event, Tech Alley Henderson. That's where I met. That's where I met a lot of great people like you and Brandon and Joshua Levitt and Joshua Stacy and Lorraine. I was at the event the other day and Lorraine says, "Where's your wife?" She's at home with the kids there. Somebody had to watch the kids. So awesome. All right. Give us your goodbye. Give us any closing remarks.
Like So, Haas, what you're doing is really awesome, right? I mean, you're bringing that like tech vibe from Vegas to Henderson. You're bringing that call to action around building a community around Henderson. This is such a cool thing to do. I love that you are creating a platform for business owners and just people in Henderson to shout out what's happening. specifically in the Henderson area. So this is really awesome. So Haas, I want to start by shouting you out and acknowledging you for hosting and creating this. This is so cool. Yeah, and I see that there's a ton of potential with this.
Thank you so much. And I mean, honestly, I did it just because I want to make new friends, because I just moved here and my wife tells me, you have way more friends than you've had in the last 15 years in California.
Yeah, people are approachable here. It's crazy. It really is crazy. And yeah, just shout out to the Henderson community. I mean, when I moved, back to Las Vegas, and we relocated PROJXON and made it a Vegas-based company. I was concerned because when I was in Vegas previously, I hadn't really met that many people, and I hadn't really developed a community. I didn't really get out much. I mean, I went to work and I went home. I went to church and I went home, and that was about it. And so my perspective was like, it's really difficult meeting people here, but I am so fortunate and proud that we have relocated the business to Las Vegas, and that I'm able to not only be a part of the Henderson business community, but to also contribute and support the Henderson business community. There's a lot of really cool businesses out here. There's an immense amount of really great people, genuinely really good people that are doing good things, that are creating great products and great experiences and restaurants and food and just are after quality. And so to be able to enjoy that and to support them has been incredibly rewarding. So Haas, this is so cool. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. No, listen, you are welcome back anytime. Consider this your second home for all consider this your second home, honestly. So please come back anytime. You tell me, hey, when are you recording? And I'm going to be there.
Yeah, definitely. I'm down.
All right. And how can people reach out to you?
Yeah. So I live on LinkedIn. Find me on LinkedIn, Mark W. Phelan. So it's MarkWPhelan. Connect with me, shoot me a message. We'll set up some virtual coffee. If not, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, the whole works is going to be at The Phelan Focus. You can also check out our website at thephelanfocus.com for the Phelan Focus podcast, which Haas we're going to have to get you on the Phelan Focus podcast sometime soon. Yep.
Yeah, we talked about that. I'm so excited. Your platform is very much close to what I do for businesses, and so I'm like, whoa, what?
Yep. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun. That one's gonna be a ride for sure.
Yeah. So, awesome. Thank you so much. Or you can go catch him at Public Works Coffee, right?
Yep,
and Water Street,
or Tech Alley, downtown Tech Alley, or Tech Alley Henderson. Yep.
There you go.
Just come there. Meet us there.
You'll find us both there.
Yeah, exactly. Just meet us there.
There you go. Shout out to Brandon from the We Mentality, Joshua Levitt from Tech Alley, Lorraine Yard from Tech Alley Henderson, and shout out to everybody that I talked to this past week and are going to be part of the show coming up. And if you like what you heard today, if you like what you saw, please do like, comment, share, subscribe. If you think somebody can benefit from listening to us, please share this with them. And if you want to talk about a specific subject regarding Henderson, you want to counter anything that we both said, comment down below and let us know what we got wrong or what you'd like us to talk more about. Thank you for joining us on Hello Henderson. This is Haas, and this is Deadspin Radio. I love that.
Secretary in the office, the home office here.
Your professional emotional support animal.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
He is the CEO and founder of. Here's the funny part. I'm gonna stop right here. Yep. I know how to say the name of your company. Yep. It's spelled PROJXON. I showed it to my wife and I said, "How do you pronounce this?"
Yeah.
And she struggled with it a little bit.
Yep.
It's PROJXON.